Well, hi, everybody. Craig Daly here with Touchstone Essentials, and I'm here with Dr. Robert Greenberg, who's going to tell us all about protein today. And I'm excited to have you here, Dr. Greenberg. How are you?
I'm doing well, Craig. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Well, we've got an incredible product at Touchstone Essentials called Organic Super Protein. And we're here to talk about that and proteins in general, but also the combination of other ingredients with organic super protein. To get us started, will you just tell us a little bit about protein and what protein is and why it's important?
Well, that's a great starting place, isn't it? Proteins are actually made up of amino acids, and there are basically 20 amino acids. And what's so amazing to me is that these 20 amino acids sequenced in different orders can actually make up all of the proteins in our body that we utilize. Now, in these 20 amino acids, there are 9 of these which are considered essential amino acids. And those 9 essential amino acids mean that our body cannot synthesize those. So it means that we are limited to getting those 9 essential amino acids from our diet alone, which makes our diet even more significant.
That's great. And what do proteins do for us in the body? Why are they so important?
Well, my gosh. Really the key to just about everything that we can talk about. In fact, it starts off with the fact that proteins are utilized by the body for all of its growth and all of its maintenance. And even though we have a turnover of protein every single day, we've got to be replenishing that so we can continue to grow and to maintain our body's functions. Enzymes are proteins, and most people don't ever think about that because, as we know, enzymes are involved in so many crucial aspects of our life. They're involved in digestion, which we think of, but they're also involved with energy production, blood clotting, and even muscle contractions. So if we don't have the proper number of enzymes, we really suffer metabolically. Some proteins are actually hormones. And so hormones, as you probably know, are chemical messengers that go through the body and aid in communication between our cells, our tissues, our organs, and they allow our body to stay in constant communication. They're a great messenger. For example, hormones like insulin or glucagon or HGH or even antidiuretic hormone ADH are all examples of hormones that are proteins. Some proteins, though, are completely different than these enzymes and hormones. They're actually fibrous in nature, and they hold together our body. They are the structure of who we are, and that makes up the keratin and the collagen and the elastin and all of the things that we think about. Well, protein even has a lot of functions. For instance, protein helps our body balance pH and regulates pH in our system. So that's incredibly important. Protein also helps regulate our fluid concentration so that we don't retain too much fluid or we don't become too dehydrated. A lot of that is dependent upon proteins in our body. Proteins, as you know, and which is so important in today's day and age, are all about building the immunoglobulins and the antibodies to help our body fight infections. And one of my favorite things that we often don't think about is that proteins are used as transportation. And we may think about them in terms of transportation like hemoglobin, the protein molecule that carries oxygen to the cells of the body. But we now know that there's something called an integer protein, which actually is the communication and the transportation of all the information from outside of the body to the inside of the body. So proteins are perhaps the most important thing. They do all the work in our body, as we can see, and I think we take them for granted far too often.
I agree with you. I think we take them for granted. As I see you go through that list, or as I hear you go through that list, Boy, I had no idea proteins do that many things in the body and how important they are. So it's absolutely incredible and crucial that we get our protein, right?
It is. And most of us don't think about that. And fortunately, we don't really need to think about it in order for it to work properly. But what we do start realizing is maybe my diet isn't adequate enough to get that protein that I really need to be getting in each and every day.
Yeah. So we talk about protein. We're talking about organic super protein today. Why can't I just consume my protein from normal dietary things like cheese and milk and meat and so forth? Why would I need to supplement with something like organic super protein?
Well, let me preface that by saying that you can, of course, get protein from meat and cheese and fish and other sources that you recommended or that you mentioned. The problem, though, is multi-layered. The first one is as we age. And I know that neither one of us have reached that magical age of 40 yet. But when we do reach 40 years old, of course, which may happen to us someday, is that our enzyme concentration for digestion is cut in half. And for each decade that we age after that point, our enzyme concentration gets cut in half again. So while we may be taking food in, for instance, that has protein on the label, or we believe that there's protein in it, first question is, are we getting it? And the answer is, well, apparently as we age, we are typically not getting it. The next answer to your question is that many sources of protein are found in dairy products. And many people have sensitivity to dairy and issues. And even if you don't have a complete lactose intolerance, you've got an allergy or a sensitivity. And most people do. Through the years of seeing patients, I used to ask people if they had any known sensitivities to lactose. They'd say no. And then you say, do you ever get more mucus formation after you consume a milk-based product? Oh, yes, I do. Well, that's your body telling you have a sensitivity and you're not breaking it down. So you're not getting that protein out of it. So that's the second reason. The third reason is that many of our meats, our fish, our protein sources, chicken, turkey, etc., are all loaded with poisons and toxins. And they've all been fed foods in the forms of grains and other products to fatten them up for slaughter that are not very healthy. And whether they're antibiotic based or whether they're poison based, they're not good. And of course, when we eat that and consume that, we bring that into our own bodies, and that's not good. And then my last reason is something that I recently discovered and found out. And that is when we think of one of the ultimate sources of protein, of course, egg is perhaps one of the purest sources. But when we think of protein, we oftentimes think of meat and we oftentimes think of steak. And we think, okay, I'm going to eat a piece of meat and that's really going to cover my protein need or my protein demand of my body for, oh gosh, the next couple of days or whatever the case may be. The reality of this is that 100 grams of steak, of meat, only delivers 18 grams of protein. I mean, to me, that is amazing, especially when we think of 2 scoops of organic super protein also provide 18 grams of protein. And since our body needs more than 18 grams a day, we either have to eat multiples of that 100 grams of steak daily, or we need to augment it, which is probably a smarter idea.
Absolutely. That's fascinating, I think. So as we think about regular foods, and you gave a great answer on why we should consider a supplement. There's a lot of supplements on the market, right? There's protein drinks and mixes and powders. What makes this product a little bit different than maybe some other products on the market?
Well, I've tried and consumed a lot of protein products through the years. I've been involved with nutritional companies that have formulated protein products. And what I find them to be is usually allergic creating. They are usually also toxic with waste products in it, with poisons in it. And that's no good to be putting into our body when we live in a day and age that it's so important to get those out. So the first thing I'm going to say and why this is unique is it's organic. And that says a lot in today's age. To truly have an organic certification, to be the purest standard that we know is possible, that's great. I can tick that off and I don't have to worry about that aspect. The second thing is we know this is free of all those poisons and toxins and other things that I'm getting in from other sources. But what I really like about this particular product is that it has a mixture, a variety of different types of proteins. And I like that. And some of these proteins are so beneficial to the body. For instance, the first protein in this product is pea protein. And I really like pea protein for a number of reasons. First of all, it contains all of the 9 essential amino acids that we talked about just a few moments ago that our body can't make or synthesize, and it has to get it through our dietary input. The second reason that I really like it is that it's high in arginine. And arginine is a specific amino acid that actually increases our blood flow in our body. And I think it's really good for cardiovascular health and well-being. And so pea protein being a complete protein, being easy to digest, having high concentrations of arginine in it, all make it just a beautiful, complete protein. The second protein that's in here is from fermented rice as a protein. And the reason is because in order to make it, you take rice and you add a little bit of water, or add a little bit of water and a little bit of yeast and or bacteria to it. Either way, it starts to break down the coating of the rice, and it makes the rice more bioavailable to our body, significantly more bioavailable to the body. Also, that process causes that rice protein to start producing probiotic. So you're actually getting a secondary benefit out of that as well. Now, a third or tertiary benefit of doing this process, it reduces something called phytates. And phytates are actually anti-nutrients. They block nutritional products from getting into the body. And so we actually can be diminished in getting other nutrients into the body if we're taking in sources with concentration of phytates. Well, this happens to reduce it. So it's this almost this perfect way of getting in this very digestible protein that has high concentrations of antioxidants. It's a great protein source. It also has organic hemp protein in it, which is also a complementary full 9 essential amino acids. It's easily digestible, but it also contains high concentrations of omega-3 acids in there as well, which is very good. So we get protein from so many other great sources, but we also get it from grain sources or sources that we don't typically think about. And that would be what I call, and many other experts call, superfood grains like quinoa, amaranth, and millet. They're included in this product, and they deliver excellent sources of protein that are easily absorbed, easily digested by the body, and they're complete protein sources. So you see that this product really has a lot of advantage to other products out there. And instead of just relying on one protein source or another protein source, it really utilizes many different protein sources as a synergistic balance.
You start talking about all those ingredients and it just makes me want to take this product because it does sound so exciting. You know, as you think about protein products on the market, oftentimes you think of whey protein or soy derivatives. What are some of the problems that can be associated with these ingredients or these products?
Well, you know, unfortunately, when you do think of a protein product, the most common ones that come to mind are whey and soy. And the reason is that they're readily available. And the secondary reason is, of course, they're inexpensive. And but there are some huge downsides. First, whey. Whey is from a dairy-based product. So first of all, you have your allergies, and if you're not your allergies, your sensitivities. Whey may very well leach minerals out of the body, especially calcium. So it has that distinct disadvantage as well. Whey can be hard on liver and kidneys. And so long-term consumption of that, you do have a possibility of it being a little bit more difficult, particularly if somebody already has an issue with those organ functions. Lastly, when you include whey into a product, you have to heat it. And in order to heat it, or the reason you heat it is because you want to pasteurize it. And heating it is 180 degrees Fahrenheit or more in order to meet requirements for heating and pasteurization. And of course, what that does is it denatures the protein. And once that protein is denatured, that means your body can't recognize it anymore. So it brings me to an excellent point. Is our sensitivity or allergy being caused by the fact that it's a milk byproduct? Or is it because our body can't recognize it and it's causing a sensitivity or an allergic reaction? Either way, whey has its negative, possible deleterious effects to the body that we need to concern ourselves with. And soy, as much as soy is such an alternative to meat and offers so many environmentally friendly alternatives in some circumstances, it has a plethora of disadvantages to it. And it goes on from it can also have an allergy reaction. It interferes with normal thyroid function. It is oftentimes GMO. In fact, it is modified, and the FDA says that 91% of all soy used in soy products is genetically modified. So we're putting that into our body. But probably one of the biggest, or two biggest things to me, I guess I should say, is number one, soy mimics estrogen in the body. Well, what that means to a woman is she's going to have hormone disruption. She may see signs of infertility or even miscarriages if she's consuming soy in a high enough concentration. But women aren't the only ones that are affected. Men are as well. Men can have many reactions, including enlargement of breast tissue. They can have a decreased libido. They can notice mood swings, frequent depression, erectile dysfunction, and even lowering of sperm count can all be happening just by adding a high concentration of soy. I know I'm just...
Yeah, that's a little scary to me, Rob. You start talking about that, that makes me a little nervous. I'm staying away from soy.
I know, it really does bring it in. And we talked a moment ago about phytic acid and about the fact that it was an anti-nutrient, and going through the fermented rice actually stopped that process. Well, soy, unfortunately, has high concentrations of the phytic acid, which are nutrient blockers. So there's so many things here that really say to soy really isn't the ideal source. It causes our body to need more vitamin B12. It causes our body to actually need more vitamin D. So soy's not the answer. A little bit of soy in your tofu or tempeh as a meat replacement occasionally, not a bad thing. But soy used on a regular basis in a protein type of powder or drink, not recommended.
Could be a problem. Well, I'm grateful that Touchstone Essentials looks at this and understands this, and they've done such a great job in putting this together. There's a couple of other things that I think are really important to bring up about this product. One is the inclusion of omega-3 fatty acids. Tell me the importance of that in a product like this.
Well, omega-3s are needed by our body, and unfortunately, our dietary intake of omega-3s are very low. And so we need help in that area. We need help because they're so vital. They may help depression and anxiety. They improve eye health. They promote brain health and the development of the fetus and the infant. They can improve our risk factors associated with heart disease. They are associated with reducing symptoms of ADHD in children, and in adults, they really reduce metabolic disorder problems, complications. They're good for the neurological system. They are valuable in so many areas, and we need to get it in. So the fact that this product also contains a great source of omega-3 fatty acids is just a further bonus.
Nice. And also the same question about MCT oils, or medium chain triglycerides, right? They're included in here. What's the benefit of that?
Well, that has been a huge buzz around the nutritional industry for a number of years now, MCTs. And because they're so versatile and they're so valuable in so many areas, they promote weight loss. They are an excellent source of the body's energy. And so we often talk about, I need more energy, I need more vitality. MCTs may be the perfect product for that. They help us use our fat more efficiently in our body, and we all could use that. They have antibacterial and anti-yeast properties to them, and they are also a very good supplement to conditions like neurological, like heart, and even for the management of blood sugar. So again, MCT, I put it right there with the omega-3s. What great additions to complete, not just a protein drink, but a complete protein and healthy drink for us to consume.
Nice. Well, let's talk about how you take it. I mean, I take this on a daily basis. I usually mix it with my super green juice and my organic super fiber, mix the three of them together and just take it down quickly. I mix it in water. One of the things you notice is it's smooth. It mixes well with anything. What do you do? And what are some other suggestions you might have for people that want to get this product into their body?
Well, I play with it a lot in a lot of different areas. One way is that I look at my diet through the day. I am not typically a meat eater, and I don't really care to sit down and eat 100 grams or more of meat very often. Occasionally you do. So if I'm going through a day and I'm not augmenting my protein with other ways, with nuts or nut butters or things like that, I'm really going to make sure I get in a couple doses during the day. And I'm going to play around with that aspect. So I base it on my dietary needs during the day. If I know that I'm during a time, like if it gets cold and I get more hungry, or if I'm more active and I get more hungry, I tend to add more of this to my diet so that I can help stave those off, so I don't consume more and more calories every day. So I regulate that. I consume it in many different ways. I mix it straight in water and I drink it down. I love it. I have no problems with it. I'll mix it with my super green juice because I drink that frequently. And when I add the protein to it, it just stays with me longer. So I really like that. But something we've just started doing, and this is exciting, and I can't take the credit for this, I have to give it to my wife, because as you know, and you've tried these before, my wife makes these amazing, fully organic muffins, and they're all organic, and she makes them with almond flour. So there's no gluten and there's no flour, there's no sugar in them, and they're absolutely excellent. Well, something that she's been doing recently is adding the super organic protein powder to this, and it just makes the muffin more filling and it stays with you longer throughout the day. So if you know you've got a really busy day, we've been playing with that and both of us have really enjoyed that.
Nice. So you can bake with it. You can add it to things. It's a great product. You know, one of the things I love about it is it's got this nice natural vanilla flavor. It's got a nice mouth feel to it. You can mix it with anything. So this is a fantastic product. Really is a great product. You know, just in closing, one of the things that really stood out as you were going through it, just the many uses, not the many uses, but the important aspect of protein for the body and for health. I don't know that I realized completely that we needed it for enzymes, and we need it for hormones. We need it for pH balance. I typically think of muscle strength and and connective tissues and that kind of thing. But I don't know that I really thought about it for all those other things. Protein is really important, isn't it?
It's vitally important for every function of our body. And I said this in passing very quickly, but I want to reiterate this. Proteins in our body run our cells. They do all the work. They are the everything that make all our metabolism, all our functions, everything happen. And we don't often get enough protein in. So we've got to change our mindset to thinking that protein is just for weightlifters and bodybuilders. Yes, it is. And people who really do a lot of exercise, but it really is paramount for all of us.
Wonderful. Well, there you have it, folks. Organic super protein. It's a must. We all need it, and not just to get big muscles, but for everyday wonderful health. Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Greenberg. We really appreciate you. Thank you for your time and for your expertise and sharing with us today.
You're very welcome. It was great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you all. Until next time.